Good evening from the height of the nation's capital here in Monrovia. Welcome to news today on KMTV. It's Tuesday, the 19th day of November 2019, and I'm Julius Compton presenting. In our top stories, Vice President Joa Howard Taylor says children under 5 should be properly taken care of, then to be pushed into schools at an early age. To improve reportage on greenhouse gas emission, Environmental Protection Agency and other government line ministries and agencies signed a memorandum of understanding. Liberia's award-winning boxer Freddie Kuwait discloses plan to construct modern state-of-the-art gym in Liberia. The details of these and much more developments are coming up right after this break. Welcome back. Let's bring here our first development. The Environmental Protection Agency and other government line ministries Tuesday signed a memorandum of understanding to help strengthen national capacity to report progress on greenhouse gas emission. Speaking during the signing ceremony, the executive director of the Environmental Protection Agency, Nathaniel Blaman, said data collection process have not been synchronized in the sector and noted it's about time for them to have total ownership for the betterment of the country. The MOU, among other things, provided computer and printers to the University of Liberia, the Forestry Development Authority, the Monrovia City Corporation, the Ministry of Agriculture, and the Ministry of Transport, respectively.
Well, today, signing ceremony involved line government ministries and agencies, including the FDA, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Post and Telecommunication, the Ministry of Mines and Energy, the Monrovia City Corporation, and the University of Liberia. Basically, the signing was to turn over an MOU, partnership, technical assistance to this institution to turn over some equipment that was bought to be used by their hubs. Under the CBIT project, the Capacity Building Initiative under the Paris Agreement is intending to strengthen national capacity to report national progress on greenhouse gas emission to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. In the past, our data collection processes had not been synchronized, and also they weren't what we say owned by the entities. Consultants will gather the information and then submit it, but now we want ownership in the sector, the agriculture sector. We want the Ministry of Agriculture to report on it, and then so it's mostly larger stakeholder participation and national ownership and transparency in the reporting process. That's the importance of it. By doing so, it positions the country in a way, because we've done our national forest inventory working with FDA. By doing so now, it positions the country in a way where we can now say, well, this is what we're emitting, and this is what our carbon stock is. Measure against our emission level, and the excess carbon that we have, we can also, use it as means of trade globally.
We're also speaking at the signing ceremony was the Managing Director of the Forestry Development Authority, C. Mark Doyen, who noted that the initiative is a step in the right direction, but was quick to mention that more needs to be done to ensure that it doubled up without any doubt for the protection of children in Liberia. His statement was buttressed by the Vice President of the University of Liberia, Associate Professor Wede Kubare Bole, who emphasized the need for the initiative to be expanded. She at the same time promised the UL's cooperation to the process. But first, though, is Mr. Doyen, followed by Associate Professor Wede Kubare Bole.
I ask those nations that are producing more greenhouse gas to live up to their agreement, the Paris Agreement, the Kyoto Protocol, and all other agreements, and it should reduce the unnecessary conditionality, because these are things that are widening the gap between the rich nations and we the poor nations. So this is a step in the right direction, but they need to double up without any doubt, so that our children can also enjoy, good and healthy life. So data is key. We all know, to making decisions, and we're glad that at least we're taking this step. Whatever information that we generate, collate and report on, we're going to stand on the same information and ask the developed countries to do more than what they're doing. What they're doing is not even sufficient, because some nations, developed nations, are even withdrawing from some of the international protocols. But this is not acceptable. Because a smaller nation will be punished.
As an institution, one of our cardinal responsibilities is research. So we're very happy that we've been able to liaise with the EPA and other agencies of government, and will now be partly a repository of data collected on greenhouse gas emissions, because we believe very strongly at the university, and this is something that has been left out for a long period of time, that the research we do can help to inform public policy. So we're happy that this link is being made, and that the colleagues from other agencies of government are here and will realize the role the university can play in enhancing the work that you do. We stand ready and fully to cooperate with the EPA and all other government agencies in ensuring that we carry out the responsibilities enshrined in the MOU we just signed.
From research now, let's now call over to education, where a student leader at the African Methodist Episcopal University, Matthew Blabe, has attributed the lack of effective tutorial programs, sanitation, and internship as major challenges facing students communicating in Liberia. In an exclusive interview with KMTV News, Matthew noted that the growth of any institution cannot be fully achieved without those problems. He at the same time cautioned students to work along with the administration in keeping a healthier environment for the betterment of all.
There's no way we can discuss a good leadership on campus leaving out education, because education is the primary objective for which we are there. And the need for tutorial program, that is one thing we talk about during the campaign period. We talk about the need of tutorial program. We talk about internship for students. And as it relates to the issue of the tutorial program, we talk about establishing a network of both the private and the public sector, along with the school, and how to help students who are reading maybe public administration, that are reading economics, to help them understand the real workings of the country economy, to also help students who are reading public administration about the real workings of bureaucracy, and so forth. There are so many students from diverse backgrounds to help them. These are things we talk about. We also talk about capacity building and development, where we talk about establishing an internship. As you may be aware, the AME University is an institution that belongs to the church. It is a church-based institution. We hope to have that unity of the church, establish a network of the church as we do the internship, where we can draw their attention with the school in which they have given that trust. And then we can establish an internet network with the private and the public sector to attract their attention, to give students a real working of what they are learning. That's one thing we talk about. Also sanitation. Sanitation is still a problem. We acknowledge the fact that we have a well-furnished bathroom on campus, but sanitation is still a problem. As you may be aware, the issue of sanitation is not just one-sided, it's not just administration. Though we understand administration has a responsibility to provide logistics, if I may say, like the cleaning up, the maintenance of the bathroom, they provide those janitors, pay them on a regular basis, but we students do also have to help in taking care of the bathroom, and that's another issue we hope to achieve after the inauguration and together.
Vice President Joy Howard Taylor is calling for a lot more protection for children under the age of 5, mainly from their mothers. Speaking to journalists in an interview, VP Taylor said it's about time for Liberia to go back to the old days and desist from pushing underage children into schools too early. According to her, it has some economic burden on the parents and as well exposed the kids who are normally vulnerable between the ages of 1 to 5 to unhealthy and safe environment. Commenting on malnutrition, the Liberian vice president pointed out that the region is now heavily concerned about it and is working around the clock to see how best locally produced fruits and vegetables can be used to improve nutrition in children, especially those under 5.
Well, between 0 and 5 years, people should be with their mothers. That's the first issue.
We have daycares.
Well, the daycares should really, I didn't go to school till I was 5. So it was the time that my mother took care of me. I learned a lot of things at that young age being around her. I think we need to go back towards the old ways. We are pushing our children too much into schools, and that's my first issue. I think mothers need to take care of their children up to 5 years old. Again, that's an issue that you have to look at in terms of economics. Mothers have to work, so it makes it a little bit difficult. But you can leave your child at home with a nurse instead of putting them in a place that have a whole pile of children that are all, when one person gets fresh, everybody gets sick. At that age, they are very vulnerable. So something needs to be done to give just a little bit more protection. But in terms of what government should do, we do have a school feeding program. The school feeding program is attached to our local farmers. And they're asking local farmers to produce certain things like beans and other things that they will cook locally for the school feeding program. It's not as exhaustive as it should. I think we need to encourage that more so that when children go to school at that early age, they too are able to get some nutrition. The West African region is concerned about malnutrition in our young children. As a result of malnutrition, a lot of other things follow. People grow up and they are easily susceptible to diseases and other things. And so we're taking a decision as a region, what can we do? How can we use our locally produced fruits and vegetables to improve the nutrition of the young children between 0 and 5 years old? That is the most critical period for which most children have malnutrition. So it's a very security issue, because if we are not able to provide for our 0 to 5 years old, then you lose people as they get older. And many young children die between 0 and 5 years old. So it's a critical issue as we want to have healthier people who will produce more when they get older. They will become good citizens, and in the end, the families are benefited and the nation. So this is what the 3-day conference is about. What do we do as nations to ensure that between 0 and 5 years old, our children are brought up properly?
Vice President Joy Howard Taylor was speaking to journalists following the opening of the ECOWAS 2019 Nutrition Summit, which is taking place in Liberia and is expected to climax on Wednesday. Well, viewers, if you just joined us, it's a reminder that you're watching news today on KMTV. Major stories happening in Liberia and across the globe. It's a half-hour packaged on this presentation. One of our top stories we're following to improve reportage on greenhouse gas emission. The Environmental Protection Agency and other government-line ministries and agencies signed a memorandum of understanding on Tuesday. And stay ahead of us in this presentation. Liberia's award-winning boxer, Freddie Kuwait, disclosed his plan to construct modern state-of-the-art gym in Liberia. We'll bring you that story plus much more developments. Stay ahead right after this break. Please don't go away. Many thanks for rejoining us. If you just joined us, you're watching News Today on KMTV with me, Julius Conton. Let's now bring you more developments. The Board of Governors of the Central Bank of Liberia announces short-term monetary policy in the country. The strategy suspends the 25% remittances split policy for the month of December. It also seeks to increase the standing deposit facility rate of 30%. According to the bank, the measure is aimed at executing CBA core mandate of maintaining price stability in the country. Musa Dukle is the officer in charge at the CBA. He spoke at a press briefing.
With inflation, the money you carry, the Liberian dollar you carry is exposed to rates. The value is eroded on a daily basis. And so the rate at which you spend the Liberian dollar is faster than the US dollar. The simple rationale for that is that you are afraid that inflation should not reduce the purchasing power of that money tomorrow. So this monetary policy rate is an instrument that will be used as a benchmark against that risk that your Liberian dollar is exposed to tomorrow, so that the incentive for keeping your money in the bank is assured. I think that's just the simple analysis I can give in terms of this policy rate that we talk about. The monetary policy rate is an instrument that will have a trigger on other policy instruments. So when you have these facilities that we use as a treasury instrument. Treasury instrument, I don't know how far we should go. A treasury instrument could be this facility that you can invest in. Banks invest in this facility. Like for instance, the standing deposit facility. If we increase the policy rate, this standing deposit facility will be used as a proxy for that policy rate. It's a proxy for that policy rate. What that means is that if you have inflation, high inflation in the economy, we increase the policy rate so that that inflation doesn't affect the money you carry in your pocket. If the economy is experiencing a boom in the economy, we want to see a boom, a forward-looking economy where we want a boom, assuming that there's no inflation, but we want to see growth. Then we bring down the rate, the standing deposit facility rate, as the policy rate. Then it leaves more money in the hands of the bank, and the banks are able to increase lending. But in the situation we are experiencing now, we have to benchmark this inflation rate against the policy rate, because our target is to deal with inflation. And the way to deal with inflation is to reduce the amount of money in bank. Then the bank will be able to reduce lending, given that we have inflation. If lending reduces in the economy, then the Liberian dollar will get stable value in terms of price. Then the store value instrument of that Liberian dollar currency will be assured. Then the fear of uncertainty in keeping your money in the financial sector will be mitigated.
Well, in a related development, the Liberia Marketing Association President Ellis Yeba is admonishing the Banking Association to improve the system in order to enhance the withdrawal of money from citizens, especially marketers.
The money business, they mutilated money. Now, when we go to the bank for our own money, they giving also so tier. Sometimes they say system down. We can be thinking, when we the market people go to the bank and system down, then when go super go there system up. No, it shouldn't be like that. A system should not be down for us because we get our money there to deposit our money. They can say system down. And you see, so but for us to go get our money, time like they we got our loan, we got our club and things then, we got our small money to the bank to get small thing to our people, even to make ourselves happy, to make our business look good. You go to the bank, they tell you say system down, but when you carry your money to put it in the bank, system not down. So we are appealing to the people, to central bank and all the banks, especially Access Bank, Eco Bank, Wakana Bank in Liberia here. Let them give the market people their money. When you put your money to the bank, the time you want your money, let it be able to give you your money. It should not be new English. The only way we will know that the policy is good for us, let it come down and explain it to us so we can see. Because you put your money in the bank from January, December you want to get your money. They tell you say system down. You will feel good. They system down English. The people should stop it for the market people. They're not doing well for us. It's discouraging us from carrying our money to the bank. And you see, and when you put your money in the house, the road ain't count on you. How they want all to live. Things are already hard. We begging them. System will not be down when market people go for their
the president of the Liberia Marketing Association, LSA, but it can be recalled that the Minister of Finance and Development Planning, Samuel Tue, has told the media that the government is working along with local banks in the country to help improve service delivery. From that, we cross over to sports, where the flag of Liberia continues to be flown in and outside of the world with many talented young people singularly undertaking initiatives on the global stage. The recent proud brought to the motherland are two major boxing belts, including African and Europeans. The African and European Boxing Championships were won by young and energetic Liberian Freddie Kuwait, who conquered the African and European continents in highly competitive competitions. Speaking at a news conference Tuesday, Freddie was at the same time quick to explain some of his plans for Liberia.
So I started boxing, and after a few years I had a dream to become a professional boxer. I started boxing when I was 18 years old. And people said, no, you're too old, you cannot do it, you should start something else. But I had my vision and I know this is meant to be. Not me found boxing, boxing has found me. So I went to pursue my dream to go to the UK, the home of boxing in Europe, to become a professional boxer. Only after a few years, I turned over to professional. There was always doubt in me. So let me try and see. I won all my fights without having any good management or any good supporters. And it's the time I came back in 2015. I wanted to help, but I didn't know how to start. So when Jason contacted me saying they have ideas how to bring boxing to Liberia, I said yes. Count me in. I want to do it. So when we started the boxing program, it was something my heart was telling me to do. It's only by the grace of God I hold these two titles. It's the African title and the European title. And I proved many doubters wrong. Not just that, I'm also made history as the first Liberian boxer to win such titles. So I take the opportunity now, every time I go in the ring, to represent Liberia. So by the grace of God, we will have a world champion soon. I'll be training hard, and I hope I will get all your support to put Liberia back on the map. Next month I'll be fighting for the biggest title again. So I really need your prayers and your support, because this will be life-changing.
Meanwhile, one of the boxing team members of Freddie, Jason Skilzo, has been explaining more about plans by Freddie to construct a modern state-of-the-art boxing gym in this republic.
The mindset has really been transformed in a way, because we have all these kids come together. It's an opportunity for us to speak to their heart during some of these sessions, and they find out this is Freddie Kuwait that we found on Facebook. This is the guy who we've been following. We heard something about him. The magical aspect of it is that we're not teaching them how to fight. We're teaching them how to love one another. We're teaching them how to understand the idea of working together with one another. You know, so it's bigger than just having two people going at a disciplined way of fighting. It's about respect for one another. And in many ways, boxing can transcend the mindset to a level where most time we don't know how to do it. Although there's been emblem of the sport, but it really was not to a standard in which we imagined it. And one of the struggles that we had was, is this going to work? What I look at is the population of young people who are in Liberia. They're just looking for an opportunity to get attracted to something new sometimes, something that's positive. You know, not going in this alone is important. Linking up with the LBA locally is also important. That's a conversation that's actively going on right now as well. And perhaps our final goal is to build an amazing state-of-the-art boxing gym in Liberia through Boxwire effort and Boxing's Law. We will hopefully be able to show you the concept of how that gym will look like when it's built. Right after this interview, we can show you on the computer. So we have a plan that we're not just thinking about one gym in one place. We're thinking that how can we work with local LBA, put the gym in every county, and now get counties to understand the importance of boxing. How can that change the culture of interest in the sport in Liberia and really on the continent?
He is Jason Skilzo, one of the team members of Liberia's award-winning boxer Freddie Kowet, speaking on today at a news conference, bringing us to the close of this Tuesday evening edition of News Live on KMTV. But before we go, a recap of our top stories. Vice President Joe Howard Taylor warns children on fire be properly catered to by their mothers need to be pushed into schools too early. To improve reportage on greenhouse gas emission, the Environmental Protection Agency and other government-line ministries and agencies signed a memorandum of understanding. Liberia's award-winning boxer Freddie Kowet disclosed his plan to construct a modern state-of-the-art gym in Liberia. Many thanks for watching. For more news and information on this station, you can log on to www.kmtvliberia.com. I'm Julius Compton. Good night.